Tonight, 20 years of radio dominance is honored and celebrated. 2 decades ago, radio's greatest duo started in Long Island and quickly moved to Boston to craft a career.
Who knew that the mayor's family is fans of the Opie and Anthony show?
Used to be.
It's getting out of hand.
Well, I think we're going into the gay zone.
They moved to New York to completely take over the industry.
This is the ultimate. God, that's horrible. Oh no! Oh my God! No! We're lit!
Then revolutionized the medium on satellite radio.
You said I don't believe in the Constitution. Bye, guys. Bye, Jess.
E-Rock is attempting.
He's a destroyer.
You make a little mustache with baby shit.
The time has come to learn from the best. As for the first time, Opie and Anthony are being unmasked. Live from Caroline's on Broadway in New York City, this is Opie and Anthony. Unmasked. And now your host, Ron Bennington.
That was nice.
I thought you guys hated us.
You know, it was 20 years ago. Shut the fuck up.
No, that was nice. I thought they were bringing out the new Marvel characters for a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, what kind of intro is that? I was like, is this about the moon landing? Something very important?
But it is 20 years. It's 20 years.
It sure is, Ron. It sure is.
Yeah.
Let me just seriously think back 20 years ago. Would this be the dream where you guys got less than the dream, more than the dream?
Caroline's on Broadway?
Yeah, Caroline's on Broadway.
That's the dream.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to point this out. Anthony ate so much backstage free food that it was frightening.
I did. I had a pizza, I had shrimp cocktail, I had a calamari. Ribs, French fries. That's what happened, because I haven't eaten in 3 days. I was on a bender.
It was the John Candy buffet he had.
It really was nice.
My God.
The commemorative Caroline's John Candy buffet, yes.
Women were crying. Don't. That's enough.
Stop it. He's just
That's
hurting
enough.
himself. He's hurting himself.
But honestly, where you guys got in 20 years, is this more or less than what you would have thought?
Well,
what you wanted?
It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah. On a graph, it would go...
And now we're sort of on the way up again, maybe. No, it's been a roller coaster ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I think everything came into play at a certain time. We were like at the right time, the right talent, the right chemistry, and
the right talent. I like that.
That's the one.
I like
Just
that.
perfect amount of talent.
Yeah.
But something that becomes successful at one time can't at another. Like in the 90s when we first started getting together and doing radio, I think that was really a time that was great for what we were doing. And now I think it's a lot more difficult because there's so many other options for entertainment. You know, you could literally see beheadings and a cute little kitten hitting a ball of yarn. It's adorable. And all in the same site.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was supposed to last this long, Ronnie.
Is that right?
Well, in radio, you never get a chance to have a career this long.
So how long?
I'm kind of surprised by the longevity of it.
Well, how long was your radio career before you hooked up?
Want me to leave?
I started at 18 years old, so
Yeah.
I did a good 10 beforehand.
Did you ever work with any other partners, or?
Not. Well, there was Pete from around the corner, and remembers fondly.
I came in like Gorman, and he was Sergeant Barnes.
I was always
No one watched Platoon, you faggots. What's wrong with you? Fuck.
Well, you know what
Great
happened?
reference. Get on you.
I'm going to give this away for the radio audience.
Yeah.
The warm-up guy was so depressing that nobody wants to move now. He threatened people with expulsion.
We're just trying to get the energy back in the room. Thanks, Sam.
Roberts.
Sam Roberts, everyone.
I thought he was for the Hot 97 show after this. See, because you're half black.
But what half? No one knows.
No, that's not his dick.
No, back in the day, I always worked with a radio crew, but I knew I wanted to, get some official people to stick around. So
Right.
And then 20 years ago in the summer, actually, Anthony's brother is the one responsible.
Yeah, Brother Joe's here.
Where's Brother Joe?
The motherfucker.
I think
He really has a huge responsibility in this disaster.
I think Brother Joe is expecting it to be the Opie, Anthony, and Joe show, though.
He was. Whoopsie.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, I'll be right home. Boom, off to Boston. Fuck you.
I kind of see him as being Doc in Back to the Future. You know? If it wasn't for him,
Yes.
none of this would happen.
None of this would have happened.
He was
Yeah.
the motivated one.
Yeah.
He really was. I was at WBAB, one of the many homes of rock and rolls I worked at. Ronnie understands that.
Sure.
And I was doing just a very easy bit. It was the OJ trial, and I just wanted parody songs from all the local bands about the trial. And one night, some lunatic is knocking on the back door over and over again. And I sent one of my guys, I'm like, just see, what they want. There were always people coming and going. And it was Brother Joe. And he would not give this cassette to anyone except me.
Just the cassette is enough right there. We know it's how long ago it is.
It was a single.
Right. So I threw on 30 minutes of nonstop rock to go meet Brother Joe. And he goes, hey, man, I think you might want to, check this out from our band Rotgut. I'm like, yeah, thanks. And I was getting a ton of these songs. And I played it, and it was the famous Gun Electric Shock OJ with Anthony singing. And it was by far the best song we got for that particular bit we were doing. And then I'm like, hey, man, why don't you guys come in and perform it live? Because everyone was requesting it every night, which is crazy, a parody song. And they came in, and then we just started screwing around. And I knew that day they were going to take it to the top. No doubt in my mind. And I walked around BAB the next day with this cassette of our first show together, playing it for people at BAB, and honestly, no one cared.
Yeah, right.
They didn't care. But I heard it. I heard that we had some incredible chemistry, and I knew that we could do something with it.
And this is something that you had been really looking for since you were a kid.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when it happened, what was it that made you know this is different?
It was just we were finishing each other's thoughts, and
Seriously. Gay marriage, ladies and gentlemen. It's New York City.
Come on, New York. Bring it to New York. Come on, girls.
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of deserved that. You're right. I did. I forgot where we were. Fuck. I thought it was Barbara Walters.
I knew nothing about the business, so I was just like, "Oh, this is great. I'll get to do radio, and within a month, you're making millions of dollars. It's fantastic." Like, I was under the impression, seriously, Opie was at WBAB, a Long Island radio station, doing the 7 to midnight shift, playing 90% music, popping in when he could, and I was convinced he had to be a millionaire. This guy had to. So he invites me over after we had, done the show a few times. Invites me over to his house. He's like, "Oh, I got a place in Northport, which is a very nice place in Long Island." So I'm like, "This is good. It's gonna be like pulling up to Billy Joel's house." and I drive up and look, and I'm looking at the address again and looking at the house. It's this shithole. And he had half the shithole. The top of the shithole.
That's true. I do have to add, you do remember what you used to look like, right?
Yeah, that is true.
I wasn't going to show you my real house.
I wasn't always this gorgeous, ladies and gentlemen. That's true. It was a kind of a serial killer mullet thing going on. But yeah, and then we went in there, and I couldn't imagine the fact that you actually did radio but weren't rich. And that he would talk about his program director and his GM and stuff and be like, this fucking asshole won't let me do this. And, and I'm like, why is he? This wasn't today, by the way. This is years ago. And I'd be like, how can you complain about this is fantastic. What a job. I'm in a fucking 130-degree attic every day cutting sheet metal. And he's pissed because the fucking weenie that runs the place won't let him fucking play a bit. But then I realized very quickly, yes, he is an asshole. The fucking program director sucks, and he is being a prick.
Yeah. It's actually lucky, too, that you, being a night guy like that, were able to bring somebody in. A lot of places won't even let you do that, you know?
No, they were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I put everybody on the radio back then.
What was the name?
But the won't let you was the let's do this.
Right.
Whenever the management would come up and say, they don't let you do this, you're not allowed to do this, we would figure out a way to do it and then make it sound like he wasn't clear enough.
Right.
On what he was saying. No, there's no way you cannot play that bit about the Volkswagen commercial with the two gay guys and make it sound like they're fucking each other in the ass at the end of the fucking... And we'd be like, oh, no, you'll never hear that. And then we'd play it. And he'd come in and went, we thought you meant the other guy fucking the other guy in the ass. Because that we understood, but...
That's worked out, too, because you guys never get fired. So...
Yeah, applaud pain and suffering, firing.
What are you gonna
by
do?
the way, what was the name of that show that you guys were doing then?
What do you mean?
The first show that you did together?
Well, it was still my solo show, so it was just the nighttime attitude.
Seriously.
I love it.
You know we all got to have nighttime attitude shirts now, right?
Look out.
Oh, I made them back then.
Look out.
I made the nighttime attitude T-shirts.
Right.
But I
check out the empties, man.
So no, I mean, then Ant started coming in once a week, and I just knew, and then I presented it to BAB, like, look, you know, I want to hire this guy, and I want to move up. I was pretty cocky about it. I'm like, I don't want to stay in nights. I want afternoons or morning. But they were set in their ways. They had guys that basically were there forever. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I had to start shopping our tapes around. And I took him to IHOP because I was making so much
great
money.
IHOP meeting.
And I...
Were you still in all during all this? Oh my God.
This is...
International.
And I sat him down. I said, I got this vision. We're going to do this. And I had a pretty good career going for myself. And I was home. I'm from Long Island. But I was like, no, man, if they're not going to do this, we got to go somewhere else. And so I said,
vision, pass the boysenberry.
Yeah. So I literally sent out 2 tapes, one to Dallas and one to Boston. And both stations wanted us immediately. So then I told BAB that, we were leaving. And then their idea was to try to give Anthony my job.
Radio is great.
When Opie said, radio is great, isn't it?
Isn't it amazing?
Scum
Ronnie
that
knows
fucking
this.
runs this business. He's serious. The general manager called me and said, look, I know you know Opie got some little thing going on that you want to do, but you're on the short list to take the 7 to midnight slot. And I'm just thinking, Anthony's nighttime attitude. Meanwhile, I don't even know what the board does.
Right.
I'm just sitting there making dick jokes and I had no clue.
We would have done job swap.
Yeah, that would have been
ended
job
up in
swap.
attics.
In the attic.
Right. But the guy was just...
it was a
scumbag move.
move.
Because I went to him. I'm like, we don't want to leave. Give us just a better slot and we'll do this.
There was also a time where they started taking bits from we did on the 7 to midnight shift and playing them on the morning show. The morning jock would be like, hey, here it is. And he'd start playing it. And the fucked up thing was I would listen to BAB, so I would be at a job. I'd be in the attic, sweating. By the way, the nails that nail in your shingles, they come right through the plywood in the attic. So when you have to get in a space this big, the nails go through your head. So nails are going through my head. I'm trying to cut out something with a little handsaw. And then I'm like, oh, I'm on the radio. I just hear me. I'm hilarious. And I'm still like, I'm going, when does this stop? When are you on the radio, but you're not working like a dog? It was terrible.
We got him back because we had the goat shit in his box. Remember that?
Yeah, and his coffee cup.
Yeah, we used to bring live animals on the radio back in the day when you could do anything. And
We stand, by the way, just since you said the live animals on there, say hi to Bobo. He's here.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Live animal.
we almost made it 10 minutes without talking about him. But we brought goats in, and Ant got hit in the balls, and this thing was shitting all over the rug, and we decided to have him shit in the morning guy's box for playing our bits. Yeah, I wasn't going for a laugh. I was just telling you a fact.
Yeah.
So, going to Boston, easy decision, or
It was tough because you know how it is, Ron. You go to a new market, you don't know if you're going to hit or not. I mean, you could have a huge audience in Long Island, but is it going to translate to Boston? Also, we were older guys playing much younger, and we were going to a very young rock station, which scared the crap out of us.
Oh, boy, did we have to fake it. Yeah, man.
Right.
Hence all the dudes when you hear the old clips. What, dude? What'd you do? Dude, you're insane, dude. Dude.
Yeah. So I was frightened because we were playing, Jethro Tull and Leonard Skinner. Next thing you know, we're going up to Boston to play Nirvana early on, Alice in Chains and Metallica, and our audience was like 12 to 22.
We would be like, all right, commercials coming. Let's take some calls and try to get something for the show. And it would always be like, play some Corn. This kid's 12.
I'm like, Anthony, maybe the Reagan impression's not going to work.
Yeah,
up
maybe
here.
that's not watching. Well, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down the... Play some fucking butt trumpet.
Oh, God. We got to tell Ron about the move real fast, though. So we decide we're going to go to Boston, and we don't have money. I was doing okay, and so we decided to rent a U-Haul and share the U-Haul.
Oh, shit.
So he pulls up to my, crappy place that he, told everyone about. And he left me like 2 feet in the U-Haul after telling me that there was plenty of room for my stuff.
You know why? Opie told me, dude, I just need 2 feet on the back of the U-Haul. I got nothing, dude. It's cool.
So I ended up just smashing my stuff in the front lawn.
Yeah,
I
on
said,
the front lawn.
It was kind of freeing. I just broke everything that I was going to bring.
It was this kind of cathartic, like, this is an all or nothing deal here. We're making a big move. There's a lot of residual shit in our lives. Let's just throw it out and go full bore ahead to do this. I literally I was driving my Dodge Aries K car, no jealousy. And I literally threw my tin knocking, my sheet metal tools out the window on 95 when I was driving.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I was like, I don't want to go back to do this.
You're burning bridges.
I'm burning bridges. If I have to, Sears has brand new snips. I'll buy them again. But it was one of those situations like, this is what I'm doing. And I hope I make it.
I wish I threw my...
Oh, thank you for throwing your tools away.
Nice.
Thank you for throwing your tools away.
I was going to tag your line there. I wish I threw my girlfriend out on...
Oh, you and the fucking wife of mine. Holy shit.
We
Talk about throwing yourself into your job when you don't want to go home at night. You will dedicate a lot of time to your occupation.
But we took care of that 10 years later, didn't we?
Yeah. Fuck them bitches.
That's right.
Right, guys? Fuck. Oh, I mean. Teasing, of course. You look like a lovely girl.
So then we go to Boston and our... Wow. We get up to Boston our first days with the program director that, heard our tape and loved us. And we sit down for our first meeting, and he's packing boxes
He's
going,
packing
oh,
up.
you guys are going to be great. You're going to be great. You're going to be great. And he's leaving for New York to go to
Q104.
104, right?
He hired us and immediately left.
And in radio, that's a really bad thing because when they bring a new program director in, they want all their new people.
Sure.
And that's why we were stuck with Dave Douglas and always butted heads. He wasn't our guy. It was Ron Valeri who was he was great to us, but he was packing our boxes. He's like, "You guys are gonna be great up here," and
That's gonna be great. Goodbye.
Right.
So how long before you got heat there? How long before you're like, this thing's working?
Oh God, right away. I mean, look at us.
Please.
But seriously, there are a
So
lot of
obvious.
people who
Honestly-
think of you guys as Boston first, above all else.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's a really good question. I don't know.
It
It,
did-
it felt like he was working right away, but we were replacing Liz Wilde, who had a huge audience, and that's all we heard. The first couple months. Where's Liz?
Yeah,
Remember that?
where's Liz? Where's Liz? We had like Dave Douglas, who was the program director, and Bruce Mittman was our GM, and both of them. Well, Bruce was really cool, and he understood, but he's a GM. He doesn't really understand the talent end of radio and what you need to do. Dave Douglas was supposed to understand the talent end and be like our liaison between management and stuff, but he didn't know what the fuck was funny or good or entertaining. He stunk on ice. So they were giving us this advice, and we were pretty new at that station, so you kind of want to listen. But then after a while, we were driving home one day, and we realized we actually had to talk. We said, look, let's just not fucking listen to these guys anymore. Well, let's just do whatever we think is
Right.
best for us and our show. And that's when things turned within months. It just...
Yeah.
completely changed. We started playing less music, and Brucey would poke his head in and go, "Boys, what is this, a talk show?" And we're like, "Maybe,
Right.
maybe it is."
Hey, Bruce, it's a talk show.
Yeah, now it is a fucking
Right.
talk show.
And
what
it
do
was
you-
on Route 9 on the way home.
Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
I know, we're like, why are we listening to these people? If we're gonna fail at this, let's fail doing everything we think should be done for our show, and not listen to Dave Douglas from fucking Iowa or wherever he thought.
Right.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Go ahead, Lincoln, Nebraska. That
Lincoln,
was it.
Nebraska.
We're thinking of starting the show with the Corn Report.
But that is true. Like, management always waits for the ratings and shit.
Yeah.
But when you're on the air, you know if
Yes.
something's working, particularly that new market when it starts to take off. There's
Yeah.
very few feelings that you can have.
It's such a weird thing too. When you're in front of a live audience, you can instantly know when something's working. But even on the air, you're talking into a mic, you're talking to people you obviously don't even see, but you know,
Right.
Like as you're going back and forth and hitting on a subject, you know if it's working or not, without even getting that instant reaction from people.
Sure.
So yeah, when we were listening to the PD and we're holding back, we're not throwing shit out there that we knew it. So we knew we just had to get out there and really fucking tear it up.
Exactly.
Oh boy, did we.
yeah.
Right. Got our asses thrown right the fuck out of Boston. They escorted us to the Connecticut state line and asked that we not return.
You bring up the famous April Fools.
Sure.
Famous April Fools.
Well, I mean, we've hinted at it for many years, but we purposely try to get fired.
Is that
I
right?
think most people know that now. Yeah.
Yeah, we might
couldn't-
as well
We
say
did
it
everything
now.
we could up there. We wanted more again. I went to Bruce Mittman. I'm like, look, obviously we're kicking ass. I think we were the first radio show that was beating BCN up there, and that was just unheard of because AF had a horrible signal in the Boston Metro. And we were still able to beat them. I mean, we were killing it, and we were making still no money. They gave us a few cute raises. The
That
one
was
at the
adorable.
Chinese restaurant.
We went to a Chinese buffet, and Bruce Mittman, it was during renegotiation, and we didn't have an agent or anything. We're like, we could handle this shit. And Bruce Mittman, I guess he saw it in a movie. He slid a piece of paper upside down over to me. And I'm like, I know what I'm supposed to do. I saw the movie. And I looked and I just started cracking up laughing. It was not a fraction of what me and Opie during the drive to the Chinese place thought we should have been getting. So I'm like, what the fuck is this?
We honestly thought they were going to offer us like twice as much. And it was great to see Anthony have some balls because back then...
Balls, it was a sense of humor at that point.
yeah,
That was the funniest joke ever. I'm like, yeah, what
Back then,
happened? A couple
back
of
then I
zeros
took a
fell off
lot of the
this.
lead on that stuff. But
Right.
Anthony, when he laughed, I'm like, yes, awesome.
Well, Opie had been in the business for so long that he knew the business, at least up to that point. I had no clue. So anything that wasn't tin knocking in an attic, I thought was fantastic. So whenever the boss would give us shit, I'd be like, okay, I'm sorry. Whatever it takes to stay doing this. And Opie's like, no, fuck that guy. We're going to tell him we're going to fucking...
Right.
Ixnay on the Elton.
We're going on the air tomorrow and telling them to go fuck themselves. Oh, it was great because it was in a different
I was
place. back then.
petrified.
I'm like, don't worry, I got this.
So
We'll be all right.
You guys got you wanted to get fired because you had offers?
Yeah.
We want you guys to come to New York. Da, 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 da. Well, I was like, wow, New
The
York.
Big Apple.
Actually, before, if you don't mind, before you get to that, there's another moment that happened up there, which it amazed me. We were doing very well. Dave Douglas was there for a few months. He pulls me aside and he goes, "Why Anthony?" I'm like, what are you talking about? Why Anthony? Are you listening to the same show that we're doing? We had great chemistry and all, but he just didn't understand that a guy could come out of nowhere and do as well as Anthony was doing on the radio.
He wanted slappy or wappy,
Right. And he
to get
wanted
into the spot. Stunt boy.
He was feeling me out to see, maybe I could, split this up and get a quote, please, a real radio guy in there that, grew up in the business. And I'm like, what do you mean, why Anthony? And
divide and conquer thing.
Yeah, and
huge in radio.
they did it a lot up there. And at that point, I knew, fuck him, fuck this place. We gotta do our own thing. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, that when you bring somebody who's not trained in broadcasting, they don't know the rules already.
Right.
So you got all kinds of shit wide open to you.
Yeah. And management doesn't know what to do with them.
Right.
It's like, oh, he doesn't know the rules. I tell him this, he goes off in a whole nother direction.
Yeah.
Radio was so awful that a lot of times, and this is true, and it's happened, somebody will say, I got an idea for your show, and you're like, oh, that sounds great. And then you found out that PD stole it from San Francisco or Chicago. And all of a sudden you're doing a fucking bit that isn't yours.
Right.
And you're like, never again will I believe you.
Yep.
They're awful that way. So you guys wanted out of Boston, even though you're very, very popular.
We didn't really want out. We just knew we had no choice. Once again, it was like the BAB thing all over again. I mean, management, these radio stations, they just don't see the vision. To this day, it amazes me. Some of the same stuff is happening at Sirius XM. But we'll leave that for another time.
They had a morning show. They had a morning show that was locked into morning.
Hold on, I just found out we're off the air right now.
Oh no! What,
I don't know what
happened?
just happened.
Did they pull the
Technical
plug?
problem.
Did they pull the plug? But the morning show was locked in over at AAF in Boston, so we knew we weren't never getting that morning.
And Dave loved the morning show because it was a typical, safe morning show. Remember all the gigs we did? I mean, we were by far the number one show at the station, but Dave just would put us in these. Remember the live gigs? He put us in the worst spot possible as people are still coming in.
All right, Hillman's going to intro Alice in Chains.
Right.
And you guys are going to intro the Dirt Clumps from Vegas.
Right.
Like, what? What happened?
Oh, it was just
Well, we
unbelievable.
want to intro.
But, so, I mean, we did everything we could there. I went to Bruce, said we want more. At that point, we felt like we should be syndicated. We wanted to be heard in New York again because we're from New York, and we already did pretty well down there at BAB. And
But we're talking 2 years into the career now?
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah,
I mean,
we did 3 years up there, a little more.
3 years is pretty early normally to ask to be syndicated. And
It was a different time, Ronnie.
but the
Different
other
time.
thing, that's when I first found out about you guys when you were up there.
Yeah.
I saw some picture in the trade and there were lines.
Right.
And that's how fucking rare that is to be able to pull off where you're the draw.
Yeah.
Well,
when you're playing music,
That was our Demented World CD.
Yeah.
And I remember that story. We put out a CD that did very well up there, and we're going to the Springfield Mall for one of these signings. They had a signing all over the area. And me and Ann are walking in the mall, and there's this line that's wrapping around the whole mall. And I'm like, God, Ann, who else is here? I swear to God, I had
We really thought there was some promotion or so they were selling something, anything. Like we're like, oh man, there's a lot of people here. This must be something. And then it was fucking. We went to the front of that line. Like,
Sure.
oh,
And all of a sudden they started clapping and cheering for us. And I looked at Ann like, what the hell is this about? We had no idea.
You're the wonders, boys.
Yeah.
You're the wonders.
And then the shyster that put out the CD was in the corner selling posters for like $2 a piece, counting the money. Like to himself, and like, how much do we get of that? Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll come out in the wash.
God.
Oh, the friggin' pieces of shit we had to deal with.
God.
We still do. Sam Roberts, everybody.
He was trying to.
E-Rock's laughing because I didn't say E-Rock.
Enjoy yourself, but not too much. Sam Roberts doing the warm up. So. Yeah. So you set out to get fired by a really amusing idea of an April Fool's joke.
Well,
saying a man was dead.
Hey, the mayor of Boston's dead.
Well, we know it was wrong now, Ron.
The mayor's dead. Huh?
So, you knew that they would get pissed off at you. You just didn't know how pissed off.
Well, yeah, just to back up slightly, at that point, as we're trying to stay up there and get more for ourselves, whether it's mornings or syndication, all of a sudden New York starts calling us, and they were really interested in us. And me and Ant snuck down there for an interview.
Yeah, we had a meeting with New York before any of the...
Even though you had a contract that said you couldn't get
by the
out
way,
of it.
even meeting with
Contracts.
somebody else is new when you're under contract.
Especially back then. But who did we meet with? Was it Scott Herman back then? I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter too much. But we came down, we had this interview, and they hinted like, "Oh man, we really love you, but it's too bad you're in a contract." And
Yeah, we can fix
were
that.
winking at us. So it wasn't as brave as you would think. 'Cause
Right.
we had that in our back pocket.
We had quite the padded little safety net.
Right.
Don't worry.
We went up there and we're like, man, what do we do? If we get out of this contract, they're going to come a-calling, And then I'm pacing my apartment. I call Anthony. He's like, I think I woke you up, right?
Yeah, it was just, well, it was probably like noon.
Because I finally had the idea. I'm like, this is what we're going to do, and we're doing it today.
Did you hear my wife yelling at me in the background?
I'm like, this is what we're doing. I go, how everyone does April Fool's pranks every year? We're going to do the ultimate one. And, we're going to either get a lot of heat or we're going to get fired. And I was very excited. And he was just he was just
sounds great. I'll see you at 3.
That's exactly how he sounded. Yeah. Sounds great. And we went in, and I remember, we talked about it a little bit. And I looked at him like, are we going to do this or what? And then we kind of nodded at each other.
Yeah, here we go.
And then all of a sudden, I got one of my good friends that has a great radio voice to call in as a news guy, and we did it. We freaking did it. And then we looked at each other like, here we go. And before the show was over, there were headlines. The TVs were lit up with what we were doing. Lit up.
Yeah, we were looking up at the TV monitors, just going, oh, this is
lit up.
I think this has some heat. And they said the mayor was dead. And then the timing was terrible because he was on a flight from Florida to New York at the exact time we did that, so nobody could get in touch with him. So they were trying to get a comment. It's like, well, he's incommunicado because he's dead. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
that was.
It was.
So you guys are all right. We did what we want, but you still felt a little freaky about
we were a
it.
little. Yeah, you weren't sure exactly how it was going to work out, but we knew the timing.
I was back at Sears.
We knew the timing was right to at least give it a shot. And then Dave Douglas walked in, and he's like, "You're going to tell everyone this is an April Fool's prank. I want you to do this immediately." And going back to what Ant said earlier, we were like, "Yeah, we'll do
don't
that.
worry about it.
Don't worry, next break, And we never did.
Never did. Show ended. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
What? And then he's outside the door like, guys, I thought we talked about this.
I thought you meant tomorrow.
I'm like, we'll tell him tomorrow. Right.
Oh, see, we'll do it.
But, I mean, I don't know. If you're going to do the April Fool's prank like that, we figured you got to go all in. I hate when I hear about radio stations. They do an April Fool's prank, and within 30 seconds, they're telling everyone it's an April Fool's prank.
They go, you're eating moon rocks. April Fools! See, it doesn't have the same. Jimmy.
Yeah, because if you do something like that, then you don't get fired. That's the thing.
Maybe they had a point, Ronnie.
But the following day, you're in front page of every paper, and you're
It's that bittersweet moment in radio where you're looking at all the press you're getting. You're like, this is the greatest thing ever. Am I going to get fired, though? It's that teeter-totter. You're like, oh, boy, how far is it going to go one way? Because we'd been in trouble at AAF before, but management was like, all right, look, we got to reprimand you in the press and stuff, and then behind the scenes, hey, great job, We'll suspend you for a week. Here's your pay. You're suspended. But this one was different. This one was, because management... above management got into it. Like corporate people started showing up. We need to, we're going to look into everyone that knew about this so we could. And this is a woman that came and she was dressed in that Hillary Clinton clothes that it takes away every bit of femininity. And she's like, we're going to get this settled, get you right back on the air as quick as we can. I'm like, oh, shit, we are so fucked. We are never getting back on the air again.
Her name was Susan McDonald for the people that care out there.
You know her, Ronnie? You ever deal with her?
But, Dave... Dave Douglas called us, got us off the air immediately and said, we got to deal with this. And, wow.
Started talking to New York right away, though? Did you
I mean... First of all, the press followed us around. They did the 10 o'clock news on my front lawn. You could see me peeking out the window going, wow, what's going on out there?
Right.
They actually started the news from my front lawn.
Great.
Right.
Look at all the attention.
They're banging on the door, trying to get my comment. I knew I had to shut my mouth. And, wow, it was kind of scary.
That was when we got the call, though, from Gollum. Gollum from... Oh, no, Bob Eatman, our agent. Sorry. He thought he would take the opportunity to call us and start kind of negotiating a deal with New York and stuff. Because we obviously, the old piece of paper slide wasn't working very well.
And then that was the NEW move. Now, coming to...
There were a few bumps in the road there, too, because then we're like, all right, look, we don't have a contract anymore. And they're like, well, great. You realize what you just did? We're not sure.
Goods.
They weren't sure if they wanted to touch us at that point. And then we had to fly down to Washington to meet, what's his name there?
Yeah, that guy.
We packed for a nice weekend in Washington. They flew us down and got us on a flight an hour later back to Boston.
He was one of the huge bigwigs in Viacom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Infinite.
We all know his name, and now we can't remember.
And now it doesn't even matter.
Right.
But we thought, oh, we're going to go out to dinner with this guy. We'll woo him. It's going to be great. He's going to hire
wine,
us.
some steaks.
We fly into D.C. We take a car ride for hours into like the mountains. I don't even know where the hell this was. It was like an evil lair for this guy. And we get there. We sit. The secretary goes, all right, wait. So we're sitting in the waiting room. Finally get into this guy. He sits down and goes, well, you boys ever gonna think of doing anything like that again? We're like, no, nothing like that. He goes, okay, I'll put the word out. You guys are good. And then we were leaving.
Right.
Like, where's the dinner? Where's the fucking...
Unbelievable.
We're back on a plane, like shell-shocked.
Yeah.
But I guess he just needed to see that we didn't have the horns and tail.
Well, in hindsight, he should have spent a little more time with you, too.
Probably.
We probably should have asked a few follow-up questions.
Well, Ronnie, I thought he meant the mayor dead thing.
Right, we'll never do that one again.
The fucking in church thing.
Right.
Yeah, you should have spent a little more time, maybe brought in a psychologist. Learn about, I don't know, an addiction to chaos, because the NEW years were insane.
You were there for that, Ronnie.
Yeah,
you were there. The show, whatever that show was, never ended. It went on through our show, through your show. It just didn't stop. The debauchery that went on in that place. I think some things were illegal. I don't think, or at least very much against company policy.
Yeah, that was. I would say that was the golden age of the show. My God.
Yeah.
Well, there were
no rules for us back then.
But I just wondered, what was the motivation to work that far on the edge every day?
It was that the reward for doing something like that was so big then. You didn't get in trouble if your ratings were that big. This shit gave you ratings. So the reward for getting that kind of attention made you want to go, well, what else can we do that's over here? And then before you know it, you're like, human sacrifice. We could do this. We could. Yeah. Well, it got so crazy.
But it started, once again, we were there 3 or 4 months, and we're not moving the needle whatsoever. And NEW was a really famous rock station.
We heard, shut up and play the music.
Right. And they weren't even allowing us to play music that was even cool that anyone liked, because they owned other properties in New York. So it was, remember?
It was terrible.
So we started dropping records, and then once again on the way home, we were commuting together back then on the Long Island Expressway. We had the same exact talk we had in Boston. We're like, we're 4 months in. They might give us 2 more months. We got to just throw everything away and just do our thing again.
Right.
Because I think we were a little scared at first. Because here we are in New York, and we know our friends and family are listening. And
That's the end of the line. It's number one market.
Right. And
this is it. Your one chance.
These legendary DJs are walking around, Scott Muni and stuff. We were very intimidated at first. So we threw everything away and just said, let's just be ourselves on the radio. And all of a sudden, I remember a trend came out. You get ratings every month, and there was that slight tick up. And then that just motivated the hell out of us. And we never
let's
looked
stick a
back.
phone up a girl's vagina now.
Right.
We got to do that. We got to keep it going.
It was like a drug. It was like a fucking drug.
And we used to say back then we would do these over-the-top events to get people talking, to get them to listen. And then hopefully, in between those big stunts, we had, things to say. And hopefully we made
that they
people
thought were
laugh
entertaining,
or make them think or whatever. And
You can't do that shit every day.
No,
you know?
no. And then it just turned into a runaway train. I mean, we started getting known for that. And we just always felt like, all right, what's the next big, huge thing we're going to do? And we just kept trying to top ourselves. And in all fairness, management sat us down a bunch and said, guys, it's happening. You don't have to do that anymore. But unfortunately, we just didn't listen.
You almost
Because there was
get
an
to the
adrenaline
point-
rush to it as well.
You almost get to the point where you know what a serial killer feels like. Like killing someone and going, this is so much fun, but I think I'm going to be in trouble. But you get this rush
Right.
of just knowing that you're really doing something that's going to just make people wince.
But while that's happening, and to me, I brought this up in the air before talking about Opie, but to be really a strong broadcaster is a guy that's open to find somebody like Anthony who's raw and ready to come in. The other thing that I always thought you did that was genius is you got the best comics in the country to come on, but also the right comics.
Right.
I mean, the comics that you ran through that show are basically running comedy today.
I have something to say about that. We hated comedians on the radio before.
Is that right?
Yeah. For real. I mean, they would bring guys on our show in Boston. We didn't have a choice for a while there. And they all would come in and do their shtick. And me and Ant would look at each other like, if you're a funny guy, why can't you just be funny?
Just hang
with
out
us?
and talk, yeah.
Right. And you could tell they're going into their bits, and we're like, yuck. And then when we came to New York, same thing was happening. We just didn't we didn't want them, and we finally were pretty much saying no, we're not going to do the comedy thing, which is a comedian thing, which is tough in New York, and that obviously leads to Jim Norton, who
Yeah. We should probably bring Jimmy.
I personally give him all the credit because before that our eyes were closed. We're like, we're not doing this. And except for, a few guys like Brian Regan and Andrew Dice Clay, because Dice heard that we were doing an amazing Dice impression, Anthony's impression, obviously. And Club Soda Kenny heard it and had Dice call in like, you got to hear this guy doing you. And then Dice was the one that said, you got to talk to my opener. He's nuts. And we had Jim Norton on the phone one day, and he was talking about a girl shitting on him right out of the box.
Yeah.
And
You shit out of her box?
And we've
Ew.
And we've talked about this one over the years too. He didn't have the greatest 5 minutes on our the first time he called the show, but there was something there. And I'm like, man, we got to get this guy in.
Oh, his eyes are darting back and forth and blinking. We're like, this guy's perfect.
Let's not waste any more time. Everybody,
Jimmy!
acknowledge Jim Norton.
Oh, I have AIDS.
What's that?
Now I have AIDS. Again.
That was very kind, by the way. I bombed horribly on the show. That was nice of you to say. That was terrible. And she tinkled on me. Nothing.
Jimmy, what about for you? Were you thinking about radio at all before you?
No, never.
Came
Never.
in?
No, not at all. I mean, it was these guys brought me in. I had never had any inclination to do it. And Opie told me, like, you keep coming in, man. You're funny, and we'll get you paid. And everything he said they were going to do, he did.
And
I was like, who's the snowman in your life?
Exactly. Why does he blink a lot? Does he crotch surf?
Did you feel that at all, or were you fine?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We were so set and like on that friggin' rocket that was the show that I didn't care who the fuck he brought back onto the show at that point.
And that was the warmth I walked into.
Jim Norton. I don't give a fuck who we bring on to this.
But was it just Opie, just your thing, or did you and Ann sit down and talk about it?
I don't know. We weren't really talking much back then.
Is that right?
I mean, it's obvious to a lot of people. We've had our ups and downs and stuff, but
That was a weird time where I had just told my wife to go fuck herself, and his girlfriend at the time and my ex-wife were still very good friends. So it put us in the weirdest fucking position,
right?
Where he's getting shit in his ear from his girlfriend about my wife, and I'm telling him about the wife, and no one wanted to hear. No one gives a shit.
It was
terrible. Fuck that cunt.
We,
if I may quote Otto, cunt.
I'm gonna check here because you've hinted at this a couple of times. I don't think you're that fond of her, though. I think
it was a weird kind of love, Ron. It was strange. But the bottom line, though, is if you look at 20 years, the times we've really butted heads, is pretty slim for 20 years.
But it's also impossible not to, because
exactly.
to do radio, like you've all been on that car trip with your friends. Imagine that it never ends. And
It's
you're just
every day for 20
driving back and
years.
forth to Florida, bitching at each other.
I think part of it, me and Ann, there was a time, I mean, to be completely honest, we probably didn't talk off air for a year. We didn't even talk when the mics were off. And as I sit here many years later, I don't even know why anymore. It was just like probably the pressure of trying to keep. Ant does? I don't know. If he does, he can
Who
say
said
it.
that? Is my ex-wife here? Cunt.
You really don't know what it is, though.
Nothing major. It was just like
Our lives so changed or at least mine did right away when we got to New York, and then his started changing too. And we knew we had the radio show. Like, that never went away. There wasn't a part of like, wow, we can't do radio anymore. That was always a given. But our personal lives started changing, and we weren't doing all the other things we did. It was me, him, his girlfriend, and my wife. We'd go out to dinner. We'd go on vacations. It was fucking like, we were always together. And then all of a sudden, she got to go. And it mixed the whole thing up.
And then my girlfriend was thinking, oh, you're going to do just the same thing.
Well, you should have told her that isn't going to happen. We missed out on so much pussy we could have. If we knew we were going to ditch both of them, we'd have been fucking back in 95.
But it was a perfect time to bring Jimmy on. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up. It was sort of a way to kind of
buffer, yeah.
Kind of a. I mean,
Like an adopting a child when the marriage is going bad.
Yeah.
This will help our marriage. Let's adopt this kid.
I was writing letters to they're like two fathers, Grandma. fucking Barnes and
Another Platoon
Elias.
reference, you fucking assholes.
But
go watch it.
The timing was right. The timing was right, though, between us not talking a lot back then and then knowing we wanted to bring someone else on just to kind of mix it up a little bit. And it worked out. Jimmy, you should talk about the first show. Do you remember Fran?
Yeah, I was.
Because that's when you killed it.
With the keyboard.
And we just knew it was going to work.
I was, what was her name? Frantic Fran. And Dice brought me on. And I had a show at Rascals that night at like 8 o'clock in South Jersey. And I'm like, I came on, I said nothing for the first 2 hours. I was just scared.
Best part of the show.
Yeah, it really was. I laughed in the right places. Dice went, huh? And I was like, yes, sir. And then in the last hour, I just started, I think, to attack this older woman and mock her and make fun of her. And it was really funny, and she was such an easy target, and I took advantage of that, and I wound up being funny that day for the last hour because I said, are you going to leave a radio show to go do a fucking Jersey gig, you idiot? I just realized the bigger picture is to be on the radio. So if it had not been for that moment, I probably never would have come back.
Yeah,
so
weird.
a few of you on the message boards can go, I wish you didn't come in.
But yeah, it was a defining moment for sure. It really was. And then Jimmy led to bringing everybody else in. I can't, and Ann can't really take credit for that.
Well, who are the guys that have always worked well with the show?
God, you got to go.
Patrice, obviously.
Right.
Patrice, O'Neill.
He was fantastic. Rich Voss. I wish they would have switched places.
Oh!
No.
Wow.
No.
Oh my.
It's not. Bonnie couldn't take a dick that big. Oh, it just doesn't end, people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really weird to feel so uncomfortable and agree at the same time.
I'm trying to think of the early guys. It was Rich. It was Patrice. Well, not even Patrice yet, really.
No, it was Voss.
Who were the real early guys at
Colin,
AW?
Boss, yeah, Colin. Was Bobby coming in at that point?
No,
No.
Bobby. I
Wow.
remember you and Bobby,
we
me,
have?
Opie, and Bobby were talking outside of my building after we got kicked off, and that was one of the first times you guys
I'll give
met.
you a name. Jim Brewer coming on.
Brewer
your course.
was
Always been
huge
great.
on the show. Oh,
Always, always
Do you
crushed
spit
with you
this?
guys. But when this happened, Jimmy, were you thinking, as a guy who's a stand-up and you're traveling around, are you thinking that this radio thing was temporary for you, or?
I still remember the first girl who sucked my dick because I was on the radio. I'm still in touch with her.
He uses that term "girl" so loosely.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it was a really weird-looking chick named Antonia. No, it was magic, man. I hate to say it's so corny, but I couldn't believe that I had some fans, like people that came out. And again, these guys stuck up for comedians. Like I did Rascals one time, and they're like, "Hey, if you bring in some extra people, we'll take care of you." And I fucking packed the place out, and they gave me $100 bonus. And they went on the air, and Opie was really hard fucking. "We're not going to take care of you guys if you don't take care of our guys." And they shamed them into sending me 500 more. That was the first time I understood the power of the radio show.
Did you ever get a piece of that? I didn't.
No, I didn't get
Skin flint.
I didn't get my envelope. Might owe me 100.
But I mean, they defended comics and they stuck up for me immediately and made me feel like I was a member of the team. It sounds really corny, but it made me feel like I've never felt that way anywhere before.
They're so good when they just come on as themselves.
Right.
We've had a cavalcade of comics that have come on and tried to do their act, and unfortunately, they usually end up killing themselves. Oh, come on now. We're on the stage at Caroline's. You can't take a little fucking morbid humor?
We had nothing to do with Richard Jennings' death.
Nothing, I swear. No, he came on, and look, the guy was the nicest guy.
Actually, he was a very funny comic, but he didn't work with our show.
He didn't work with our show. That's that. But it's a good example of, and I hate to use him, but he's a great example of what doesn't work on the show. And that was doing your act, and we ended up putting it behind the closed door with the little strip of glass, like a classroom door, and we gave him a microphone, and we called it the prison visit appearance, where he'd have to talk through the glass and. He didn't get the joke.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But Pauly Shore killed for us.
He took.
Oh.
Well,
Here's
but
another one.
there's certain comedians that work, and a lot of it has to do with just being naturally funny more than clever or whatever.
Right. Talk about
But-
any circumstance.
Yeah.
Just talk about your life and be able to jump in with a story, make it compelling and entertaining and funny. That's a comic to me.
and
once again-
handle it, and not go across the line.
Right.
Which takes us to Paul Mercurio, and
Oh, boy. Firing number 2.
the famous Sex for Sam.
Right.
In hindsight, I don't even think he could be blamed that much because we were all on that roller coaster
Right.
where you tried, and he had been listening to the show and knew what the comics did and what we did, and knew it was you push it to the furthest extent you can and you're going to get famous. It's an amazing trick.
I do want to add one thing. We always pick guys, though, that kind of knew exactly where the line was.
Right.
Our guys would go out there, they understood to push it as far as they can, but what is going to actually get us fired in this particular bit? And I mean, I'm not blaming him, but I don't think he fully understood it that day.
It was Sex for Sam. You go around various locations in New York City, landmarks. You have sex. There's a spotter with you who was the comedians and whatnot, and they would watch and say, "All right, he's fucking her. That's 3 points. He's fucking her at the Hard Rock Cafe. That's 4 points. Oh, he dicked her in the ass. It's a 2-point conversion. like this is how this game works. So we gave all the contestants a list of places in New York, Empire State Building, World Trade Center, Statue of Liberty, all these places.
And church.
And Opie was like,
I added church at the last
he
minute.
added church on the list. And it was
Behind
just
Ken
so we
Stevens'
could,
back, by the way.
it was just so we could read the list and go, church, that's
Because
crazy.
once again, that gets people talking. You're
Right.
in your car going, what? This might happen at a church?
But it's what Opie said also. We knew that the people we were sending out, they're not going to a church. There's plenty of places on the list. Macy's. Hey, go fucking Macy's. It's not a church. But the church on the list was outrageous enough. And we thought it would stop just by saying church on the list.
I think it's kind of amazing that you guys think it's okay to fuck in a Macy's.
There's plenty of shit to wipe your dick on.
I mean, it seems like there was quite a few places
We are
that you
twisted.
could get fired. Yes.
We're just
That's it. That's what I'm looking for.
really just
And now we
believe
can
that's
restart.
okay. Right.
That is true.
But,
I remember somebody in the studio going, "Don't go in the church. Don't go in the church. Stay away from the church."
We always had an inkling whenever we were going to get fired or in big trouble for something that we knew it was coming. It wasn't so stupid that we were like, we didn't even see that. We knew, but
Right.
it was that, let's take the chance. It's a gamble.
I got to tell you, I saw Paul Mercurio, and they said he was at a church, and we all kind of looked at each other, and it was one of those moments
the
again.
button.
Do you or what?
Click. Hey, Paul, what's up? I'm at St. Pat's, and he's doing the 2-point conversion in the ass.
Right.
Like, what?
But you
St. Pat's even. It could have been anything. The Scientology church.
Right.
You pick the holiest of holy Catholic churches.
But it's another one of those moments. You just knew, man, this could be a problem. And we just, but
It could be.
But we just looked at each other and
We call
said,
him Mr. Perceptive.
yeah.
I don't know. It's
When
crazy,
the show ended
obviously.
that day, you're in no trouble yet, but did you think it was coming because of the church?
Well, oh yeah.
Yeah, we knew shit was coming. We knew what was, it was called the slow build.
Right.
If something got some news and you got a blurb somewhere, we knew it was going to get traction. And boy, could we have used a big news story that week. Nothing happened.
It was a slow news day.
Nothing except sex at St. Pat's
But
Cathedral.
Paul Mercurio, there still was a chance to maybe get out of it because
Yes.
there was a guard there that day said, "Just get out of here." He didn't want to deal with it, obviously.
Right.
And Paul decided to grandstand a
He
little
was
bit,
gonna,
and he said,
"Get out of here! Why? I won't get."
He might have said, "Where's your God now?" And then so the police, so the guy calls the police, and they arrest the couple, and Paul is like, "Aren't you going to arrest me?" or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
he kind of wanted to get
And
arrested.
then he actually took a cab to the police station so he could get arrested.
Arrest me. Some would say Paul Mercurio couldn't get arrested.
And I didn't think the show would get fired because I had never been through a firing. Had I been through one before, I never would have been stupid enough to okay that. But
Yeah.
I had never been fired before.
In hindsight, you look because we all have like dump buttons in front of us, and you're able to dump out of whatever was just said, and 7 seconds back. But
How
like
long
you
before
always
this shit really hit the fan?
think
Immediately.
about- Yeah, it was very quickly.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Oh boy, did that roll.
by 10 o'clock, CNN was all over it. I think it was CNN.
Sex in St. Pat's Cathedral. And then
Immediately.
Bill O'Donohue, the head of the Catholic League, he got involved, and then Giuliani had something to say about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But,
was
it was also the culture radio back then, and we didn't see the signs, and we didn't see things were changing. Like Ant said earlier, if you had ratings in radio, you just didn't get fired, as long as you didn't break the FCC rules. So I'm like, man, we're killing it up and down the East Coast. They're not going to fire us.
yeah, in radio, you fucked up.
Right.
You're like, you fucked up, and it's like, yeah, I'm at
really-
the next level. This is great.
Right, but man, was I wrong. I
Yeah.
mean, the culture obviously was changing right in front of our eyes, and we ignored the signs.
And when you guys were literally the last show to do that kind of.
Yeah, because then
radio.
they put the hammer down. No one else was able to do anything after that as far as the outrageous bits and stunts and things like that. Man, did they clamp down on it.
Now it's
We ruined the industry.
Yeah.
Very happy.
It really was this Apocalypse Now version. Just explosions all around.
We probably should
Who's
have
in
been.
charge? Ain't you? Apocalypse.
I think we were
Jesus, watch
supposed.
some war movies.
No, they don't watch any war movies.
I think we were supposed to be fired a week or two before that, though. That we got some heat for our Buffalo gig.
Oh yeah,
A
that's
lot of
right.
heat. And we weren't even on the
I
radio.
forgot about that.
TNA for O&A. What a great title. Were you there? Oh, shit. Oh, he's like, no, I was, but she's with me.
TNA for.
And it's odd how management didn't seem to see the writing on the wall. There was girls fucking themselves with zucchinis on the beach.
Right.
On the beach.
Oh, we thought you meant cucumbers were bad.
But that was a Buffalo Beach.
Yeah,
You know,
Buffalo
that was
Beach.
Well,
A little more helpful. It's a little different from
Yeah, yeah.
St. Patrick Cathedral.
Yeah, that was
the only church that the Pope visits when he
the
comes to
Pope
America.
goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pope wrote cunt.
Yeah.
So when the shit hit, how long had you been doing radio with them, Jimmy?
I want to say around, I did the Garden with Dice in 2000. So it was right around there I started going in very
The
regularly.
Olive Garden.
I didn't say that, Andrew. I didn't laugh at it.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course, nice. We were all there. We loved it.
It was right around there. So it was about, like I see pictures from 2001 or whatever that E-Rock posts, and I'm like, I was on the show every day by then. So
Right.
it was right around that time.
So it was pretty short period of time that you got.
It was
the
just
full
enough
ride.
time to feel like, wow, I could succeed, and then it was just pulled out from under me. 5 months into a 2-year
Right.
lease.
I think it was.
Yeah, I was living with Florentine and his girlfriends, paying $300 a month in Jersey. And I'm like, I'll just stay there. And then I move into a $2,200 a month apartment in New York, Mr. Big Shit. 5 months later, we're fucking canceled.
That was.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Well,
Oops.
the beauty of it is most of you got paid while you were off the air.
I was happy for those guys. You know,
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. They
paid every dollar.
Clear Channel Broadcasting, who is the main competitor for Infinity Broadcasting, Viacom, who we worked for, they wanted us to do mornings
Right away. They didn't
right
care.
away. They're like, "You're fired. Fuck it," because Howard
want you.
was doing mornings at Infinity Viacom. So they needed some competition. They knew we might not have beat him, but we could have taken a nice chunk out of his ratings. So Infinity said, "Oh, really? No, we're going to keep paying you. You're not fired. Your show's canceled. So we'll keep paying you for 2 fucking years to keep you off the air. It's nice for the first 6 months. And it's nice until you realize all your friends still work. Right. And you're just sitting there watching TV or, going on a vacation alone. There's nothing to do." Well, he's rich, but has no friends. Shut up.
yeah, it's funny. My money had just doubled. They had doubled my salary. They had doubled my salary, and the paperwork hadn't gone through yet.
Oh, it was.
Oh, did I get fucked good. They should have put me in St. Pat's. I took it in the ass really well.
2-point conversion.
But the point being, I mean, we were ready to continue working, and we would have been paid, and
you would have
doing our
gladly
thing.
jumped in
Oh,
and
in a
slapped
second.
the money that they owed.
In a second. We actually went to negotiate with them to stop getting paid.
Right.
We wanted them to stop paying us
Right.
an insane amount of money to stop paying us just so we could work. We wanted to do radio. They wouldn't let us.
Because once you got that thing, you're saying, "Oh, here's a bid I could do. Here's the news coming in."
There's
And
nothing
you
more
were
frustrating
stuck.
than being an off-the-air jock when you're looking at the news, you're looking at things that are happening, and you just... Me and Opie were doing the 2-man show on the
Jesus
phone.
Christ.
Dude, you see that story about the guy and his dick and the... Yeah, it was nothing.
And there's no Twitter or Facebook back then.
Right.
I mean, when we couldn't.
Yes, you
We couldn't communicate with anybody.
There was no Twitter, Facebook, or nothing.
But
That's great. That's usually the way he talks to his girlfriends.
Yeah.
yeah,
How he loves that. Yeah, bust my balls about that all the time. I love it.
Oh, I care.
But that is true. Like now, you'd probably start podcasting or some shit.
You'd be able to at least keep
yeah.
in touch with everybody and rally the troops.
How about you guys? Did you all say we're coming back no matter what?
Wow.
You're calling Jimmy.
For a while, we weren't really sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
Clear
one of the
Channel
most
thing-
depressing times. We got the call that we were fired. We were all three of us together. We were walking down Broadway, I think.
By the Starbucks,
67th in Columbus.
Exactly where in front of Starbucks.
And
Jimmy tells that story.
We got the call from Bob Eatman.
No, Opie got the call, and he just goes, "Okay, they're canceling the show. Okay." Real calm, like that was common, and we're all sitting in the back and behind your house, and you're discussing it. You guys are talking about your options, and I'm just sitting there going, "I have to pay rent. This is terrible." And I didn't know anything about canceling the show. I didn't think that could ever happen.
It's that unknown, like you don't know. This is the end of your career. It's just. Right. We've had so many end of our careers,
right? And
it's scary.
And I heard from people back then who would say to me, "No, you don't understand. They're never going to."
This is no
again.
coming back. Yeah,
yeah.
We were blacklisted in broadcast radio
because the Clear Channel thing went away. They moved on.
Yeah, they moved on. Obviously, they're not going to wait two fucking years.
We sat out 2 years, 3 months,
and then satellite radio came calling.
Couldn't even. There was literally because. There was nothing of the planet Earth anymore.
No, we had to go into space. We needed space-borne hardware. Yes. To filter our
like
hardness.
a good option at the time, or did you feel like what?
No, it sucked.
It was so depressing to think like, because at that time especially, satellite, people were like, what?
Right.
What is that? We used to go, when we drive around, we look to try to see those shark fin antennas on people's cars to see how many people had satellite. And we're like, oh, no. No one had it.
I remember calling you going, I saw 10 today. And you're like, where were you? I'm like, rush hour traffic going into the Lincoln Tunnel.
I saw 10 antennas. This could be viable.
It was depressing, man, to know where we were. And, now we're going to start from literally ground zero.
We could say fuck to 3 people.
Yeah.
This is great.
Well, because then XM, hired us. And Hugh Pinero at the time, I got to say, he didn't really believe in the show. I don't even know why he hired us, because he came in and he basically told us our first meeting, I just want to let you know I don't like you guys at all.
I don't like you.
But I understand what you do.
But I hear you have an audience. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So he put us
How
on.
you fucking reacted to an asshole like that? Scumbag.
You signed on the dotted line.
And then what did they put us on? A premium channel? You had to pay an extra, what was it?
$2 a month. Terrible.
We were doing the numbers going,
yes,
we might be talking to 5,000 people. We used to talk to millions.
Yeah.
I remember when it was 11,000. You gave me that number in Boston. You're like, well, it's up to 11,000.
We pumped him up, Jim. Sorry.
Yeah.
We pumped them up.
Yeah. Pumping up those numbers. Yeah, and then the whole dynamic of the show had to change, because when you used to throw something out there, people would call in that just casually got your show, and they'd be like, hey, you guys suck. We hate you. Fuck you. When you're getting people that are paying a premium price to listen, everyone has the same call. Dude, it's great. When you were at any dummy. They're all people that already listen.
Yeah.
So we liked the people that didn't know who we were. We could get new listeners that way. It was so hard to build an audience on satellite because you're preaching to the converted.
Do you guys remember we did the tour of satellite before it started? We went to different markets just to promote that we were going to be on satellite radio, and it was like, oh, it's going to be a long road back, man, because there was people came out in like Philly and Boston, but a few other markets it was like fucking small little crowds in a bar, and like it was really
it was depressing
difference.
For real, man.
Really depressing,
man.
And then weirdly enough,
thank you for listening. Still,
these.
Thank you.
These are the converted here.
Yeah.
Right. But then you got a call back from terrestrial radio.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
And then weirdly, XM said you could do both.
Yeah, that was
really
exhausting.
strange.
Oh my God,
That was
that whole
The problem was that now regular radio wants us back because they realize, okay, they don't have devils, horns. They're going to behave now.
No, they really didn't have a choice. Howard
Yeah, I
left.
guess.
They brought Diamond David Lee Roth on to do morning. Boozy bop, diddy bop. Hey, let's do morning radio. Who's your bad? No one wanted. They're like, broop, 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 broop. No one wanted to listen to him.
He brought
and
palm trees in.
Yeah.
He actually he brought in palm trees.
I
for
want
the
palm
studio.
trees and sand in the studio. I wish they all could be. All right, we get him out. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So they threw him out, and then like, what do we got? Opie and Anthony are free.
The same company that fired us. How
Yeah.
crazy
It's
is that?
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But then the two companies, once again, they were butting heads, and they both want to control the show, and it was kind of a disaster, to be honest with you.
Yes, we had to go from the FM studio.
They wouldn't even agree on one studio for us, so we had to suffer and go from K-Rock studio.
We had to do the walkover.
and in the middle of a show.
In the middle of the show,
I mean-
we walked about 2 blocks
Yes.
up 57th Street, regardless of the weather. There were times where it was like an Arctic vortex coming through, and we had to walk and try to like, hey, there's a cab.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny, people? There's a cab. There's nothing to talk about for 2 blocks.
Hey, there's a cake.
Oh, who would do that?
Awkward.
You know, I'm glad they admitted it.
Doc.
How much time between stepping on the cake and the outrage? That had to be the longest amount of time.
7 years.
7 years.
7 years
It went
of building out.
viral 7 years later. Everyone was cool with it at the time because they understood the relationship we had with
Right.
Andrew. We were taking whatever. We've talked about it, but we were taking care of the guy, every day. And
Homeless guy,
and
yeah.
we almost felt like he was part of our weird crew. We
Right.
have a million
We
of
could
these type
stomp
of guys.
on his cake, which
But-
was the only thing he had to eat.
But it was just. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah. But that's how things have changed so much that people who now don't listen to you get clips of the show on the internet and can get pissed off. It happens to the comics all the time. Jimmy, I mean, this drags down careers.
Yeah,
Taken out of
context means
context
nothing, right?
now. Like,
Yeah.
there have been a couple of times we've said something on the air, and Jimmy will say, like, should we pull that from the replay? And it's like, I don't even think about it because I have no sense whatsoever. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, why? And he's like, because taken out of context, just that audio clip and replayed, it's hard to defend. You could defend it in context, but no one cares about context. Stop saying context.
And it's very no, but contextually,
Thank
it is, and it's very rare because you hear the stuff that goes out over the air. So imagine the few things that go. And it's very, very rare that will happen. But I'm like, I would rather you err on the side of caution with certain little catchphrases or certain things. And I'm like, again, taken as just a line. Nobody wants to hear it, and you don't have faith that anybody will defend.
That's a
you
guy that's paying a lot more than $2,300 a month now.
Well, no, that's in prostitutes.
This is a weird thing, and this actually shows you what happens with the O&A show. Who could believe that in any situation, Jim Norton is the conservative one?
The voice of reason.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen anywhere.
I got it. Well, Jimmy's got a story to tell about that as well. So we sit out 2 years, 3 months. We're back on satellite radio. We almost got fired a month in.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
And
God,
Jimmy
yeah.
was the one like, what the fuck are we doing? I remember we were at a diner after that show. And we're like, we got to make some drastic changes. We're going right back to where we were.
Explain what you almost got fired for.
It was the naked girls passed out
It was the
outside the
naked
building.
girl.
Oh, I thought it was Homeless Charlie.
No, this was way before
this
Homeless
is way.
Charlie.
We were back.
Oh.
We were back a month.
It was around Thanksgiving of 04.
and we still had the Jägermeister machine, and we still had the wiffle ball bat.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's a recipe for a womb injury.
The wiffle ball bat challenge was we had a wiffle ball bat in the studio, and any porn star girls or actress or just a waif off the street, we would take the wiffle ball bat, roll a condom over it, and see how far she could put it in her vagina. The fat end was the champ. And then we'd mark it with a Sharpie, and then the next girl that would come in, we'd replace it back in the glass case. Right. And the next girl that would come in, we'd say, and see who could take
Anthony,
the most.
was this in a church or?
Ron, don't be crude.
Yeah. But it was the same condom over and over.
Yeah. Don't forget we had two categories.
Right.
The front and the back. We had girls.
Yes.
We had a back winner as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
God
we
forbid
get back.
we forget.
I didn't know what that strange rubber thing that was rolled on the bat was.
I had no idea. I thought it was a party balloon. I'm like, yay!
What's this useful, useless, horrible, useful,
Useful.
But Jimmy knocked some sense into us.
What
are we doing? Because everyone was drunk. The girls were naked.
I fucked one of them in Ron and Fez's office. You guys had an office. It's true. You know, I don't even know if it was your office yet. It was that room that became your office. I fucked a girl in there, and then the other one was so drunk, they took her out half naked through the lobby onto 57th Street.
Where she proceeded to puke into the street.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
This solves it. For months, we looked for fish. We were just. What is it? Oh, wait, I'm the fucked up one.
Yeah, no.
I just want to make sure.
I'm the bad guy.
That's me now. Good.
Yeah, so we had to get rid of the wiffle ball bat and the Jaeger machine.
And the Jägermeister machine.
Jägermeister, excuse me.
Yeah.
So-
and that was all Jim Norton. He's like, we got to stop.
But,
You guys
here's
just
the
sat
thing.
out over
Here's the
2
thing.
years.
You almost should not be able to be fired from satellite radio.
I know.
Right.
And how
That's what
many
we
times
thought.
did you come close?
That's what
Well,
we thought.
Homeless
Like-
Charlie was a biggie.
Yeah, we thought satellite radio, perfect medium to bring a homeless guy up and just ramble his shit. Like on regular terrestrial radio, you had to worry about what he was going to say, like shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocks, like a motherfucker, tits wise.
Right.
But this way, it was like he could say all that and just go up. But what he was saying, even without cursing, was the bad thing. He wanted to fuck the first lady in the ass. He wanted to fuck the Queen of England. Mother Teresa
Condoleezza
was also
Rice.
getting fucked.
Condoleezza Rice.
Condoleezza Rice needed his dick. And it was all this, the way he was talking. And again, it gets picked up by the news and they start running like, oh, he wants to rape the first lady. And this kind of shit is being put out on radio. And we're like, can we just do a
my
music
God.
show and play the 60s? Let's just play Windy.
And then Reverend Al got involved.
This is obscure.
Reverend Al got involved.
Yeah, and that scared
And
the
they made a
company.
backroom deal.
So
to
you
get-
know it was legit.
Right.
Yeah.
That rat.
Yeah. He came in with his briefcase holding it.
Trying to collect evidence.
Talking to the combination lock. I am outraged. I have a California raisin head.
And
But that's the thing of out of context, where if you're listening to the show, you're hearing a homeless guy ramble on like we hear in New York every day.
Yes.
But if you read the news, it sounded like he did it. You know what I
did
mean?
it.
Like
of course.
he actually did it.
You are giving it credibility. You're the one that's
Right.
going, I need people to hear this. No, it's satellite radio is a perfect medium to hear the rambling insanity of a homeless person.
Right.
But they didn't get that. Again,
well,
Yeah.
no, Eric Logan got it because I think XM at the time definitely wanted us fired. Definitely. And Eric Logan stepped in and
Oh,
said, I'll control
You
these
sat
guys.
out a month though.
Yeah.
That was another
But not on
sit
regular
out.
radio. Regular radio was fine with the bit because it did happen on their airwaves.
that was great because we just left early.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Walk over, schmuck over. I'm going home.
Right. But I got to credit Elo. He was the one that stepped in and made sure they didn't fire us.
And they want, here's what regular radio, someone said that someone at regular radio pushed that because it made it on Breitbart. And then this was when the Sirius XM merger was happening. And the thing was like, could this endanger the merger? And
Right.
that was why
yeah,
the
once
higher ups
that-
at XM started to
Then
panic.
board members talking, get rid of them. Threaten our deal.
And Homeless Charlie was a funny guy. He was just one of the funny
Hilarious.
human being.
Fun
who
guy.
was-
He just wanted to rape the first lady.
Exactly,
And
yes.
He's
Yes.
a pisser.
Yeah, a real hoot.
Well, you're still doing mornings though over in terrestrial. What had changed while you guys were away? Because it seemed like a different world.
They pretty much handcuffed us. We couldn't do anything we used to do.
Yeah.
And I remember we sat with Tom Chiasson. We're like, this is not going to work. We need a meeting with the lawyers. So he's like, okay. And we remember the meeting with the lawyers. And,
thrill of my life, right?
Trying to convince them they got to loosen up and let us do some of these things. And then the whole meeting was about why we can't do any of this stuff anymore. And I knew we were pretty fucked at that.
Yeah, early on, you would meet with lawyers, and sometimes they would say, okay, you need to do this to make this work. You need to do this, 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 and then you could do this. And it got to the point where the lawyers were just saying, no, you can't do this.
Right.
Can we figure it? No, you just can't do this.
And then when they handed out the pamphlet, words hurt.
Words hurt.
That is, and if anyone has a copy of that, please, we want to read that on the air again. I can't find a copy.
Well, we got in trouble for reading it on the air because it was a thing, and it said on the memo, "Do not read on air, not for on air."
What are you
words
gonna do?
Words hurt.
That means
Words
read it,
hurt.
right?
How many times were they dumping out during your show?
Wow. Well,
we made that into a bit.
If Louis C.K. was in a lot, because Louis would like not say the 7, but he didn't understand that you can't say diarrhea in the mouth on terrestrial radio. So guys like Louis would get dumped all the time because his idea of fixing it just didn't work on regular radio.
Al Dukes. I just read a tweet from Al Dukes. He was with Boomer now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about Otto and George, and saying that whenever. Yes, of course, fantastic. Poor Otto. A banana, my Otto. And he was talking about whenever Otto would come on, how many times he would have to hit the dump button.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand. It's not just the 7 dirty words. It's the context of what you're saying. So, yeah, diarrhea in the mouth. You can't say that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's sexy, but...
And it would just get dumped out. We were constantly getting dumped. I think also the Janet Jackson tit thing did a lot. That changed the FCC rules for everything. Just because that was TV... The rules were the same with television and radio as far as language goes. So they made it so that every incident was now hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of like 10 or 20,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but for a company, it was the cost of doing business. So now it became like if you got in trouble by the FCC for saying something bad, it crippled a company.
$350,000 per offense.
Per offense, per market. So if you're syndicated in 10 markets, it's $3 million. Did my math?
Yeah.
Thank you.
$3,500,000.
Where'd that come from?
So, in this case, you already kind of know.
Hands tied.
Yeah, hands
Done.
tied.
Hands tied.
Can't do your show.
Can't do it.
Yeah. But you figure we'll just keep going with this.
We had to change the show up a little bit, which I think we did over the years. It's called, we're like, oh, the show's grown over the years. We've gotten a bit older, and but it was out of necessity. You just couldn't do the show we used to do. So it's either stop doing any show or kind of evolve and be able to talk a little more about the news, be a little more sarcastic about what we see in the world. Social media helped. I mean, that's, a cavalcade of assholes on a daily fucking basis that can be just talked about.
And you love the fight with them. You love the battle.
Can't tell you the joy I get out of fighting about guns and race on Twitter. It's fantastic. And I would say the same thing to the next audience that's coming in a little while. Hot 97. I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge.
I always know it's going to be a great show the next morning when I see at 1 o'clock in the morning Anthony going, fuck you, not in these neighborhoods, it doesn't happen. All right. It's going to be a long show.
But that's joy for you. That's joy. You have a good time.
There is this joy, the anger, the feeling that I have a commitment to something, which disappears in the morning.
See, that's...
It's not really that important to me. I don't give a shit. Last night it was everything.
See, that is this thing that's happening. Like you guys talked about at one time, you were tense, but I don't think that you could have made different lifestyle changes than you have in the last couple of years. And I never bring up anyone's personal life, but Opie, you married like a nice person and a real person, and you've changed.
Despicable?
Yeah. No, you've changed quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know.
Opie's a
Yeah.
he's a family.
I've always been a family guy. I don't know. My dad used to tell me, "Why don't you ever bring the nice, part of your personality on the radio?" And I always was like, it was boring. It really was to me. And he goes, he loved the radio show. He's no longer with us, but he's like, man, they really should see that. They should see that other side of me. But
my dad's dead too.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I can make the jokes.
My father hears me talking about trannies and wishes he was.
Well, because we're being honest, my father's Catholic and he's still pissed over St. Pat's. Still, I pay for it more than you guys.
Yeah.
But that is a huge change for you, and I think it's taken away some of the how do I burn this house down?
Yeah.
Because I do think that chaotic thing was always there the last couple of years.
I was responsible for a lot of that, sure. And everyone knows it, but yeah, I've calmed down. I'm a happier person, There's nothing there. It's just whatever.
No, it's a nice thing.
Yeah,
it's a nice thing.
I'm in a good place.
We started out as guys in our early 20s. And but very similar, from Long Island, just with our girls and stuff, and our lives have changed in drastically different directions. But the show has always been there as the show. It doesn't matter what's going on in each other's lives. We can get on that mic and fucking do a show, and it's the Opie and Anthony show, and
amazing,
you know it.
yeah.
You just know it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Just let me know when we have like a minute left in the broadcast.
Well, okay.
Oh, no.
Secret.
You got a poem? No.
Yes.
Faggot.
Either that or he's going to get us all fired.
pick a daffodil.
Jimmy, it's the same for you too. Because the thing that I always look at with you is you with your career. Do you ever think, I could have went in some different directions and just hanging out doing radio?
Coattail Hopper Norton.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
It is.
Colin. The second we got fired, Colin's like, "What's this weight on my back?"
It is amazing, but I'm like a fucking deer tick.
With AIDS.
A crab would have been better. But I don't look at this as a kind of a temporary. I love it. I genuinely love the gig, and it's not something I look at I want to someday do my own. I just love. I get to hang out with my dumb friends for fucking 4 hours a day and goof off. It really is a great job. We get to say whatever we want. Sirius doesn't fuck with us with content. They're really, honestly, that we complain sometimes, but they never come to us and go, "Don't say that." They let us pretty much. Content-wise, do what we want to do, and it's you don't get that anywhere.
That is the truth. That should be said.
Yeah. But it's also true, and I'm not.
They don't know how to make a poster, but
yeah, well,
holy shit.
Wait till you see what you're in store for. Ooh,
celebrating 20 years with pictures from 20 months.
They didn't know it was years.
Holy
months. But I don't know another show that could have added one of the great comedians of their generation to the show. And I think it's always amazing
thank you.
that you're on that show. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that a guy who does TV specials and Tonight shows and all late night programming and still will come in at 6 o'clock in the morning and do this without. I'm stunned.
I've never seen, and it's like that Hollywood bullshit. I've never seen someone as dedicated to a show as Jimmy. He's there every time. And there are days where it could be like, I'm taking the red eye in. If I was taking the red eye in and was getting in at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd go home. I'd sleep. He's like, I'll be there at 6:30.
Yeah. It's called It's called knowing how replaceable you are. So making sure I am there.
And Anthony, we're all aware that you'll sleep in at the drop of a hat.
That's for sure there, Ronnie.
Oh, Ant's sick again?
I sure love that 3 to 7 slot in the afternoon drive.
Another head cold?
Right. It's so hard to be late at 3 in the afternoon. And if you can't be up by 3, there's a bigger problem than just getting up at 3.
I know, Opie, you got something you want to read to us.
Well, I made this is going to be like an Oprah moment, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I made Don Wickland get cupcakes for everybody because he he was going to do that stupid cupcake thing.
Oh, Don.
So where's Don Wickland? I made him go out and get 350 cupcakes. So.
And
because they have this stupid idea of having like big name celebrities that we don't know at all come on stage and give us cupcakes during this.
Yeah, that would have been natural.
How many did he get? 350?
Oh yeah, I made him go out and get 300 and whatever.
Nice.
350 cupcakes.
And thanks to Roland, there are 6 left.
You know,
oh, am I going to pay for that joke?
Oh, yeah.
I just glanced out.
Huh?
And Saul, to me, if I think of you guys, I always think of Black Girl Douglas. There he is.
Where's Earl?
Stand up, Earl.
Man, Black doesn't crack.
Yeah.
Earl looks exactly the same. It's scary.
He's a time traveler.
He really is.
He's finally Black Girl from the future.
Wow. He's wearing the exact same thing I saw him in last time I saw him.
Oh, my God. Earl.
That's amazing.
Get a life. We should mention our staff. We're working with the best staff
available.
Really?
It pains me to say that. And obviously, we've had some.
It pains me.
It really does, but
backhanded insult.
We've had some great staff over the years, but right now we got a solid staff. Just want to mention like Club Soda Kenny and Sal, E-Rock.
Oh, E-Rock.
Sam, Roland, Troy, Travis. Who are we forgetting?
Yes. What are we forgetting?
Our interns, who they both names start with A.
Whatever.
But they do a really nice job for us.
They're doing a great job for us.
Did you mention Sam Roberts?
Yes.
Yeah, Sam. Who?
What a dynamo he is on stage, huh?
He was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal opening. That really was. Come on, guys, clap.
Where are the cupcakes, Don? Oh, they're outside. Oh, all right. They're outside.
Great. The you know what's are probably eating them.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, 20 years minus the times that they were fired and kept off the air.
Oh, thank you so much. And
the O&A show.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Jim Norton.
Not to be too maudlin, but absolute thank you to you guys for listening for so fucking long. You guys are the shit. Let's drink some beers.
This has been Opie and Anthony Unmasked with Ron Bennington. To hear it again, listen on demand at SiriusXM.com/on-demand. And catch Opie and Anthony live weekday mornings starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern on the Opie and Anthony channel, XM 103 and Sirius 206 for the best of XM package. The Opie and Anthony channel. It's real.